Leaders in this community and leaders across the state have a very different future in mind for North Carolina. It's not the turn of the century numbers, it's what's next, and I think what's next is looking very exciting for our state. Let me give you some growth numbers that put North Carolina in a very different growth pattern from the numbers I just shared with you. There's currently 9 million people living in North Carolina. By 2030, we predict, and the trend lines are showing, 12 million people will live in our state, so we have to get ready for rapid growth. Our metro areas, Raleigh, Charlotte, the Triad, will double in population. We right now have more cities of over 100,000 residents from some states you can see here, and you might be surprised to know. But think back to the 1985 plan I shared with you a moment ago. We're using the 1985 plan to run the 28th largest economy in the world. So if North Carolina was a country, our economy right now is the 28th largest economy in the world. GDP, output, top 5 manufacturing state right now. So as business leaders, people like you begin to think about, well, what's the future need to look like? If you haven't read this book, this is not a new book, I would suggest you go out and buy it because it paints probably the most vivid picture of what's happening around the world and what the competition for jobs really looks like, if you want to get kind of that mindset. There's a couple things the author points to, and the author is Jim Clifton. He's the CEO of the Gallup polling organization. And he picks up a couple trends that I thought you might be interested in. Gallup polls all around the world in countries of any variety. And when we were with him 3 years ago, he said, the new #1 problem, the new #1 concern in every country all around the world, no matter what the poll is, no matter what the survey is asking, the #1 concern is people around the world need a good-paying job. And you might say, well, gosh, you came all the way from Raleigh to tell me that. Well, then the next data point, he says there's 1.2 billion, with a B, more people in the world than there are good-paying jobs. So you start to see what the jobs war starts to look like. In his book, he posits World War II as the war to end all wars. But what he really is saying to us, and I think to you, is the jobs war is the war for everything. So the regions, the states, and the countries that have a plan to win the jobs war will ultimately be the survivors. The countries who don't won't. And I can tell you, we'll jump ahead to the end of my slides, Washington has no plan for the North Carolina economy to grow jobs, but we do, and we're going to talk about that.